In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, Adrian, a man who had been blind for years, underwent a revolutionary surgery that restored his sight. He kept this a secret from his wife, Clara, hoping to surprise her. As Adrian adjusted to his new world of sight, he planned a vow renewal ceremony, a gift to Clara, since he had never seen her in her wedding dress. But as he observed his life with fresh eyes, he discovered something unsettling about his wife, a truth that shattered his trust and forced him to file for divorce. But before we dive into the story, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting stories. Adrian, blindsided by this revelation, struggled with how to continue his marriage. He confronted Clara, who tried to deflect but eventually admitted her wrongs. Their relationship was not what it seemed. The shock of betrayal weighed heavily on Adrian, as he had once envisioned their life together in happiness. Now, this dream was unraveling. Despite his feelings of betrayal, Adrian continued to plan the vow renewal ceremony, hiding his restored sight from Clara. He wanted to see her joy when he revealed his surprise, but his secret added strain to their relationship. Clara grew suspicious as Adrian lied about his whereabouts, pretending to be on a business trip while secretly planning the ceremony. Adrian checked into a hotel under the guise of his business trip, using the time to adjust to his vision and plan the surprise wedding. However, things started to go wrong. He received an email saying his credit card had been declined, which puzzled him as he was certain there were sufficient funds. Worried, Adrian tried to brush off the concern, thinking it might be a mistake. He continued planning, choosing flowers for the ceremony and securing other details, determined not to let this hiccup ruin his plans. But Clara's growing suspicion weighed on him. She began asking probing questions, and the hotel receptionist mentioned that Clara had called, inquiring about his stay. Adrian tried to push down the guilt that was starting to build. He believed that the surprise was worth the deception, but each lie he told made it harder for him to continue. The cracks in their relationship caused by these small lies began to widen, and Adrian felt the weight of his secrecy. Back in his hotel room, Adrian reflected on Clara's questions. He crafted more detailed, fabricated stories about his supposed business trip, trying to ease her suspicions. But deep down, he knew that the trust in their marriage was being damaged. Despite these growing concerns, he pressed forward, determined to make the ceremony happen, even as Clara's warmth seemed to fade. As Adrian juggled his secret plans and Clara's growing suspicion, another financial issue arose. His credit card was declined again. This time, the receptionist at the hotel informed him of the issue, and Adrian's stress intensified. Desperate to understand what was happening, he contacted his bank, only to be placed on hold. Each passing moment added to his anxiety, not just about the money, but about the unraveling of his elaborate plan. After what felt like an eternity, the bank finally informed him that there had been suspicious activity on his account, leading to an investigation. This news hit Adrian hard, as it jeopardized not only his vow renewal, but also his financial stability. He felt trapped, caught between his desire to give Clara the perfect surprise and the escalating complications surrounding his deception. Despite everything, Adrian pressed on, determined not to let the financial issues and Clara's suspicions derail his plans. But as the pressure mounted, he began to question if the secrecy and lies were worth it. He had initially envisioned this gesture as a celebration of their love, but now it felt like a burden, one that could potentially destroy what they had left. Returning to the hotel after another day of planning, Adrian was met with more troubling news. Clara had been persistently calling the hotel, asking more questions about his stay. The cracks in his carefully constructed story were becoming harder to hide. Adrian's heart sank as he processed the news. Clara's suspicions were far more serious than he had anticipated. Her constant probing and inquiries into his whereabouts made him realize just how fragile his web of lies had become. The trust they had once shared seemed to be eroding with each passing day. Alone in his hotel room, Adrian struggled with the weight of his deception. He had intended for this vow renewal to be a celebration of their love, but now it was threatening to destroy the very foundation of their relationship. Determined to salvage the situation, Adrian continued to finalize his wedding plans. He visited the florist and made sure every detail was perfect, holding on to the hope that the surprise would somehow make everything right again. But deep down, he knew the lies were taking a toll. He couldn't escape the gnawing guilt that came with each false story he told Clara. The next morning, Adrian received another call from the hotel receptionist. Clara had been relentless in her inquiries, and her persistence was starting to make the hotel staff uneasy. Adrian knew he was running out of time. Clara's trust in him had already been damaged, and it was only a matter of time before his entire plan unraveled. As Adrian tried to focus on the final details of the ceremony, his mind was consumed by the fear that Clara would discover the truth before he had a chance to reveal it himself. The secrecy that had once felt exciting now felt like a heavy burden, and Adrian began to wonder if he had made a grave mistake. Adrian's anxiety continued to mount as the pressure of his double life weighed heavily on him. He began to question whether the surprise was worth the cost, not just financially, but emotionally. The lies had become so entangled with his reality that it felt as though they were unraveling faster than he could control. Each interaction with Clara, each carefully crafted lie, deepened the chasm between them. The final blow came when Adrian received a stern call from the hotel informing him that his credit card had been declined yet again. This time, the issue seemed more serious, as the bank revealed there was suspicious activity on his account, suggesting potential fraud. Adrian's heart raced as the financial strain threatened to collapse everything. His once grand plan to surprise Clara with a vow renewal now seemed like a distant dream as the reality of their situation set in. He contemplated revealing everything to Clara: his surgery, his plans for the surprise wedding, and the financial troubles he had been hiding. The weight of his secrets was becoming unbearable, and he knew he couldn't keep it up much longer. But before he could confront her, Adrian made one final attempt to log into his banking app. When he finally succeeded, what he saw shook him to his core. Unfamiliar transactions, large withdrawals. His account had been drained. The shock of betrayal hit Adrian like a cold wave. His suspicions quickly turned toward Clara. Racing home, his mind swirled with thoughts of what he had just uncovered. When he arrived, Clara greeted him with calmness, but Adrian could feel the storm inside him brewing. Adrian, seething with a mixture of confusion and anger, confronted Clara. The sight of her calm demeanor only intensified his turmoil. His secret of restored sight, which was supposed to be a joyous revelation, now marked the beginning of a confrontation. As he stood before her without his usual sunglasses and cane, Clara's face changed. Her surprise quickly turned into guilt. Under Adrian's unwavering gaze, Clara's defenses crumbled. In a shaky voice, she confessed to her gambling addiction, revealing that she had been using his money to cover her spiraling debts. Adrian was speechless. The woman he had trusted, the one he planned to surprise with a new beginning, had betrayed him in the worst possible way. Each word from Clara felt like a dagger, not only exposing her financial deceit, but also the emotional betrayal that had been hidden from him for so long. The depth of Clara's deception overwhelmed Adrian. Everything he had believed about their relationship was now in question. The love and trust they had shared were shattered, replaced by the harsh reality of Clara's secret life. Her gambling addiction, hidden behind the facade of their marriage, had destroyed everything they had built. Faced with this heartbreaking truth, Adrian knew their relationship could not survive. The trust they once had was gone, and there was no way to rebuild it. The foundation of their marriage had crumbled, and Adrian realized that the only way forward was to end things with Clara. With a heavy heart, Adrian made the difficult decision to end his marriage. The pain of betrayal was too deep, and the bond they once shared seemed irreparable. Clara's confession had left Adrian devastated, forcing him to confront the harsh reality of their relationship. The woman he thought he knew was a stranger to him now, her actions having torn apart the trust they had built. Adrian knew that moving forward meant walking away from the life they had shared. As painful as it was, he had to leave Clara behind and start anew. It was a step into the unknown, but it was necessary. The deception, the lies, and the betrayal had darkened their union, and Adrian knew he deserved a future built on honesty and integrity. Though heartbroken, Adrian felt a sense of liberation as he finalized the divorce. It marked the closure of a chapter in his life, one filled with love, but also with profound betrayal. Standing on the threshold of this new beginning, Adrian found a mix of sorrow and hope. The future was uncertain, but it offered the promise of freedom from the deceit that had overshadowed his past. In the days that followed, Adrian began to reflect on his journey. Alone, he found moments of clarity, realizing that his new life was not just about regaining his sight, but also about rediscovering himself. The pain of the past was slowly replaced with the promise of new beginnings as Adrian sought to rebuild his life on a foundation of truth and resilience. As Adrian embraced his new life, he found solace in the small, everyday moments. The world he now saw with clear eyes was filled with beauty, and he began to appreciate the simple pleasures that had once been hidden from him. Sunsets, the laughter of strangers, the vibrant colors of the world, everything felt new and full of promise. Each day brought Adrian closer to healing and self-discovery. Through this journey, Adrian learned the importance of relationships built on honesty and mutual respect. Slowly, he opened himself up to new connections, each one different from what he had known with Clara. These new bonds were built on trust, something he now valued more than ever. The scars of the past were still there, but they no longer defined him. Instead, they served as reminders of his strength and growth. In time, Adrian allowed himself to believe in love again. It wasn't a reckless leap, but a cautious step forward, guided by the lessons he had learned. He understood the value of transparency and the importance of sharing one's life fully with another. As his heart healed, he began to dream of a future filled with love, hope, and possibility. Eventually, Adrian found happiness with a new partner, someone who valued honesty as much as he did. Together, they built a life rich in love and trust, and Adrian's heart found peace. His journey, once marred by betrayal, had led him to a new beginning. With each step forward, Adrian embraced the future with optimism, knowing that he had grown stronger and wiser.